Evicting a tenant can seem like a complicated process, but in this video we'll quickly explain the eviction laws in New Hampshire and outline some simple steps that landlords can take to initiate an eviction. In this video, we'll talk about what the eviction process looks like, how New Hampshire law handles evictions, and how to legally remove a non-compliant tenant from a property. Watch to the end of this video to find a link to a fillable eviction notice that you can customize to meet your situation. First, what is an eviction? Eviction is a legal process needed to remove a tenant. Even if a tenant has not paid rent, it's illegal for a landlord to change locks on a property or physically remove a tenant from that property. So if the tenant refuses to leave after violating one or more terms of a lease agreement, a landlord must seek an eviction from the court. Keep in mind that this is different from the simple termination of a lease. A landlord can opt not to renew a lease after the specified term has ended. There is no need to involve a court in this process. If a tenant breaches the terms of a lease agreement in New Hampshire, a landlord can issue an eviction notice. In most states, there are multiple versions of this form to choose from. In New Hampshire, though, there is only one. It's called a notice to quit, and it orders the tenant to either fix the problem identified or face eviction. If the lease violation relates to the failure of paying rent, the notice warns the tenant to pay the unpaid rent plus a $15 fee within 7 days or face an eviction proceeding in court. In this case, the landlord will attach a form called the demand for rent, which must be signed. If the lease violation doesn't relate to the payment of rent but to some other repairable problem, then the tenant has 30 days to resolve the issue in order to avoid being evicted. If, however, the tenant is caught causing substantial damage to the property, the window to resolve this issue is 7 days. There is also a form called a 30-day notice to quit, which gets used to terminate a month-to-month tenancy. Either the landlord or tenant can use this form. If the tenant fails to fix the problem identified in the notice to quit, the landlord can file an eviction action in the local district court. In order to do this, the landlord must file 4 forms. The first is the Landlord and Tenant Writ. This form must be obtained from the local court and is not available online. The second is a copy of the eviction notice and the demand for rent if it applies. The third form is an Affidavit of Ownership, which is a form that confirms that the landlord is the owner of the property. The fourth is an Affidavit of Military Service, which indicates whether the tenant is in the military. This could affect the outcome of the eviction suit. And if the landlord is seeking monetary damages, a form called an Affidavit of Damages and Statement of Claim should be filed. This asks the landlord to indicate what monetary damages are being sought from the tenant. All paperwork must be filed with an appearance form, which states intent to appear in court. The fee to file all these forms is $126. All of these forms should be served on the tenant either personally or via certified mail. Forms can be sent via email only if both parties have previously agreed in writing to the electronic correspondence. The court will schedule a hearing date and both parties should attend. If the judge rules in the favor of the landlord, then the court will issue a form called a Writ of Possession. The landlord can present the writ of possession to the local county sheriff's office to authorize the forced removal of the tenant and the tenant's possessions in case the tenant refuses to vacate the property. Only a sheriff in the county where the tenant lives can exercise this authority. We've got everything you need to get eviction proceedings going. From eviction notices to court documents, click the link below to get started. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well to find other videos about important topics for property owners.